The number one thing I know that will work for this audience is having a foundation of 2 core things. Always following the underpriced attention, not the mature attention. I tell you, everybody focuses on the mature attention because it's easy, it's what you're stuck in. That, along with, what are we gonna do about a sustained content model? What we need to talk about is underpriced attention. Why was I doing email in 1997 for my dad's wine shop? Because I had 93% open rates. That's a long time ago. That newsletter now gets 18% open rates. Why was I doing Facebook fan pages like Ham in 2012 and 13? For the people that were doing it here, you know why. And then Instagram, and then this. So it's always moving. If you don't find something that works for you forever, you won't do it. So like, if you're a real business person like I am, spending 3 hours a day to make videos is not gonna work for you. You got family and you got a business to run. But can you do a podcast once a week strictly for the 13 pieces of content it produces for you because you film it and post-produce it? All of you can, because I'm busy as fuck and I do it. 10, 12 pieces of content a day is the only answer to the thing you're thinking about. That's it, that's where we're at. Let's get right into it because I have 20 here and then we're gonna do Q&A. That really excited me, that video, for a lot of reasons. Most of all, because it ties in so nicely to what I would like to accomplish here while we're all together. I do not believe, even though it's been the majority of what I've been talking about and producing content around, that I've pushed hard enough for this room to understand that literally the variable of success in the business that you're running is content creation that makes sense of the moment. Even though this has been ad nausea, what I've been talking about for a decade, the stakes are so uncomfortably high for the people in this room because of 2 things. One, the platforms that have the attention are changing right now, and every time they change, crazy shit happens. Leaders lose market share, and hungry emergers take market share, which is fun because there's people winning here and there's people that are trying to get more, so it touches everyone in here. And I'll go into why 2 days ago, in a breakfast meeting with 4 key members of my content team, we took Instagram from the number 1 priority spot to the number 5 priority spot. Like, to give you context of how serious, like, the timing of this talk is awesome, so yay. So I wanna talk a lot about that, but I also wanna talk about why. Whether it's literally, I think this is now obvious, running for office in any politics around the world, whether it's selling sneakers, whether it's becoming famous, like, everything is about supply and demand. Demand is something one has to create. That has been done a million different ways through the test of time. As a real estate agent in the 80s, it was really being the queen or king of your local area, whether it was bench ads or direct mail or being ridiculously involved in the local sports or the PTA, like, you just physically networked. In 2023, it is virtually networking, right? It starts with content, and then it comes down to, like, how much in the grind are you? When you saw that, I know people were getting settled, but if you saw that video, that little reply email, like, I'm in for 15 at like 1 in the morning, I wrote that. Every DM or reply that anybody has ever gotten here from my account is me. There's no some weird fucking intern in Japan doing that shit for me. That's why we have a Team Gary account. Team Gary may reply because just of scale, but most people get fancy before they've earned it. There's a lot of people at this conference in this room right now talking big game, but aren't actually willing to put in the dirt work in the trenches to get what their mouth is saying. And the reason I'm double motivated is not only is the content framework changing in front of our eyes, and I've always, over the last decade, have won in those shifts, and that's why we're gonna win again, and that's why I'm desperate for the 13 people that really listen to me today and do something about it, they're gonna win. But it's also happening when this industry is about to have a macro issue, which means it's supply and demand. Not only is it important to win when there's an attention shift, there's even double importance when your macro industry is gonna get squeezed, and there is no confusion to anybody in this room that the macro industry is going to get squeezed because the math is clear as day. You could be optimistic as fuck and delusional and put your head in the sand, you're more than welcome. But the reality is shit's about to hit the fan in some shape or form. Nobody knows if it's this, that. I don't know if it's '08, I don't know if it's '01, I don't know if it's '87, but the math is clear. And so, I don't know, you're more than welcome to have a strategy that looks like this. I hope shit stays good. Or you can look at what has already happened, and depending on where you are in the country, some of you have already felt it. And then the people that haven't felt it are making up dumb things like, well, they're feeling it, but we're not gonna feel it. Our market's different. The macro market is going to be affected. So what gets super fun about that is all these fucking talks of the last decade of my life have been all about timing. This is all timing. And so I come to you this morning in what I believe is perfect timing, like literally perfect timing, and I hope this framework of like what I just said really gets some people's attention to double down on whatever they're feeling, whether that's fear or ambition. I hope you fucking double down, and what I want you to double down on is content. It's as simple as that. Let there be no confusion. I don't care how great your reputation is. I don't care how many contacts you have in your cell phone. What you're doing by not going all in on content is leaving opportunity on the table. It's not that you're gonna go out of business. It's that somebody sitting next to you's cousin that's in the same market as you is gonna pick up market share against you if they go into content when they're not as good as you. Or if you're really good, you're just leaving being double the size of your business. Now, this is real talk now, back to mentality. A lot of people here might not want it. And I mean that. Like, to me, this is about, do you wanna grow the business? I don't think everyone should grow a business. You might be in a life cycle where you want to spend more time with your family, you want to chill out, maybe you're selling, that's all good. Everything that I'm talking about is strictly, do you want it to grow? And sometimes grow is important because if we are right, body, energy-wise, that the macro market gets squeezing, one of the reasons you need it to grow is so it stays at the same level that you're at right now. You're fighting for opportunity. You all know this. How many people have been in this game for over 15 years? Raise your hand. Raise them higher, just so I get a sense. This is awesome. So you 15-year plus OGs know exactly what I'm about to say, which is when the market is awesome, even F players make money. And they think they're A players, but they're not because the market, right? You've seen it. That's what's about to happen right now. And it's a tricky one, right? Because for some of the 15 plus OGs in this room, you just might not have as much energy as you did 20 years ago when you crushed during a down market. You might have got a little soft. You like fishing on the weekend, right? You, like, instead of grinding email, you like, and so like, this is just real, where am I at as a human being? Not everybody should triple down and bleed for it this period because maybe you're not in that place. Maybe you've been saving your money and you just don't want to, and that's awesome. But for anybody who does, or for anybody who needs to because you've been living a bigger lifestyle than you can actually afford and you don't have savings and the market really needs to be where it's at, you need to get very serious with me in this session about the following. If you are not producing 10, 15, 20 pieces of internet content for Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, all these platforms a day, you are vulnerable. And it's a big ass number for the people in here that are making 2 a week. When I'm out here, like I want you to put out 15 pieces of content a day, and it doesn't mean 15 original pieces of content that you make. It means, do you do a podcast? I mean, look at my content. How many people here follow me? Give me a sense. Thank you. So for the people that raised their hand, you see it. I'm not out here, I'm not fucking dancing on TikTok. I'm not fucking spending time to make content. I'm living my life, created a framework that allows me to produce post-production. As much as I love the origin story of how I got to this stage with that video, because I love his hustle and I love everything about what I just saw, the single reason I'm here, and my speaking fee is not low, but the single reason I am on stage right now is for the content. The single reason I am on stage right this second, the only reason I do podcasts with other people, which is why often you see me put people on and do their first podcast, is because I'm not doing it because I'm trying to get audience from their podcast. I don't need Rogan. I want to put some kid on that's on the way, because the real reason I'm doing it is 1, to do karma and put the next generation on, and 2, I just need the content for me. It doesn't matter who's asking me the question. I need my answer, and I need to chop it the fuck up, and I need to pound it down your fucking throats on every platform in the world. Got it? So like a lot of people in all these business circles, and you probably sense this, so many people come up to me every day, DM, real life, it happened already twice here. So many people sense that I'm slightly different, and it's because I am. And what I'm just trying to do is get all of you to be different with me because it works. And it's good. But what it requires is a lot of self-awareness. The biggest reason people don't win and have stopped, the people in here who have stopped doing a lot of content because they don't see the ROI, is only because they didn't put themselves in a position to succeed. It's like getting into better shape, right? Like, cool, you can starve yourself for 2 weeks. That's not sustainable. Like, cool, you could like if you don't find something that works for you forever, you won't do it. So like, if you're a real business person like I am, spending 3 hours a day to make videos is not gonna work for you. You got family and you got a business to run. But can you do a podcast once a week strictly for the 13 pieces of content it produces for you because you film it and post-produce it? All of you can, because I'm busy as fuck and I do it. So what we need to figure out today is a couple things. By the way, not everybody here should be on video. Because you're not good at it, or because you can get better at it, maybe you just really don't like it, comma, you're an unbelievable writer. And that writing can be absolutely transcribed into post-production videos. Like maybe you're more comfortable you love talking, but something happens when the camera goes on you. And and I'm empathetic. I get all the DMs, I read them. People don't like the way they look, their weight, women's, all the lady entrepreneurs are like, easy for you, Gary, I gotta do makeup and fucking hair. And I'm like, I get it. I'm like, or you don't give a fuck what people think of your looks, right? Like seriously. And by the way, we need self-esteem of who we are as human beings, not how much money we make or what we look like. That's how you can get to making video fast. And by the way, all those people that shit on you and say you fucking look terrible, like feel bad for them, don't feel bad for you. Imagine living a life where you go around social media and try to make people feel sad. Do you know how fucked up sad your life is? Don't feel bad for you, feel bad for them. You need to figure out a sustainable model to produce content. Let me talk to you about something I call underpriced attention. For the last 15 years, I've built my entire career on underpriced attention. Whatever the attention of the world was on that most people didn't understand that the world was on it yet is where I produced the most content and went the hardest. I know a lot of you had all sorts of feelings when I was pushing Musical.ly and TikTok 6 years ago. That was gonna be the one that I was gonna be wrong about. What you have to pay attention to is where are people actually consuming, and don't make up excuses like, well, Gary, my customers aren't on TikTok. Because that's what you all did 24 months ago, and now all your customers are on TikTok, right? So what we need to talk about is underpriced attention. Why was I doing email in 1997 for my dad's wine shop? Because I had 93% open rates. That's a long time ago. That newsletter now gets 18% open rates. Why was I doing Facebook fan pages like Ham in 2012 and 13? For the people that were doing it here, you know why. And then Instagram, and then this. So it's always moving. Let me give you, straight from the horse's mouth, where the underpriced attention sits right now. Number one, this is wild, Facebook fan pages. Let me throw a bomb at you. For 3 years, I didn't even think about Facebook. Between big corporations that VaynerMedia works with canceling Facebook because of the politics and the Trump stuff and the Democrat stuff and all the politics, you have big companies like, I don't know if this is exactly true, but companies like BMW and Coca-Cola and all these that used to pour 50 million in have gone to zero. Then, for some of you that definitely are in the trenches with DTC and retargeting, iOS 14.5 fucked up people that really know how to do math, right? So that took away another $1 gajillion of DTC brands that you would go to their website, you wouldn't fill out the shopping cart. You know this, you saw it, they followed you everywhere. You didn't buy the sneakers, you saw the sneaker ad 800 times until you just fucking gave up and bought the sneakers because you didn't want to see the fucking ad anymore. So that money's gone. All of this, I love when everyone's like, Gary, the algorithm fucked me. The algorithm did not fuck you, Sarah. You're just not interesting as you were 6 months ago, or aren't changing, or your audience is changing, or somebody else took. The algorithm is unemotional and just wants money, and just wants attention. Nobody's shadow banned here. You just suck now. So what happens is it's all supply and demand. How many people post organically? How many people run ads? How many people are on the other side consuming? Facebook, as I'm sure we all know, is not in the consuming place it was in 2015 because Instagram and TikTok and other things have taken away. What just happened, though, is the stuff that's coming in on the supply has gone down so much on the ad side that the organic Facebook fan page content is exploding. I couldn't give a bigger piece of advice than telling all of you, especially some of the young dogs in here who never even did Facebook. They started with Instagram, to get very serious about Facebook fan pages. And for this industry, the age demo that's on there, it's really important. I would get your Facebook fan page game up, number one. Number two, YouTube Shorts. I don't know if this has hit your radar yet. How many people here, and don't lie, because I'll look it up and then call you out and destroy your brand. Raise your hand if you're actively making content for YouTube Shorts. Raise your hand. Very solid. But this is great. Look what just happened. A, that's solid. Great stuff. Like, this is fairly early, last 6 months, 9 months. But look, this is a pretty legit crowd. We got some hands up, but 95%, 98% did not. Huge opportunity. YouTube Shorts is TikTok, except it's YouTube, which means it's searchable. YouTube, if you don't know, is the second biggest search engine in the world. Google is number one, YouTube is number two. For some of you that have dyslexic tendencies like I do, you know why, because we don't read well, and so we need to listen or watch to learn. So if you make YouTube Shorts that are titled very smartly, that are localized to your business, or you could do some real damage, because unlike a YouTube video that if everybody here posted for the first time would get 7 views, like TikTok, your first YouTube Short might get 100,000 views. It is pure virality, it's huge, it's double huge. Like, as much as the next thing that's gonna come out of my mouth is TikTok and I want you to do it, I know for a lot of you, YouTube is gonna work even better because of the search component that is not the same dynamic that happens in TikTok. So the fact that, for me, if I have your job, and I know the mortgage, real estate, I know the room, the fact that I would spend my time on Facebook fan page first, YouTube Shorts second, TikTok third, is a profound shift in a room full of people that have Instagram first. And I know that people are feeling their Instagram numbers stalling and declining because it's macro. It's declining because the supply and demand curve is off. The supply's high. The demand, everybody under 30 went to TikTok. That's the game, forever. So, in very simplest terms, the number one thing I know that will work for this audience is having a foundation of 2 core things. Always following the underpriced attention, not the mature attention. And when I tell you everybody focuses on the mature attention, because it's easy, it's what you're stuck in, Instagram. That, along with what are we gonna do about a sustained content model? I think it's an interview show. I will always say this to this industry. In an industry that does their business locally, standing up an interview show that interviews people locally and then chopping that up will work. If you interview the principal of the high school and do the right titling on a YouTube short, do you know how many people decide where they want to buy a home based on the education framework? Enough, a lot. Enough that if they watch the interview of the principal that they're trying to decide if they're gonna go into this town is being interviewed by you and you happen to be selling homes, that's called business. Interview shows are easy because you just have to do a little prep, and if you're like me, you do no prep and you just ask generic questions and you roll with it. Hey principal, how's it going? I really need to figure out some sentence in this room that unlocks you to realize 10, 12 pieces of content a day is the only answer to the thing you're thinking about. That's it, it's where we're at. Attention and content and information is the only game. And other things have gotten mature. When I was doing SEO and SEM in 1999, that was underpriced attention. How many people here have been doing SEM for their business for over 15 years? Raise your hand. Anybody? Right? Just a couple. Some of you remember how good of a deal that was? The stuff that you used to pay 48 cents for is now $73. Supply and demand. I need you to understand supply and demand of attention, and I need you to understand that it's going to be content for a long time. We are within the half decade of people watching TikTok on television 24 hours a day. Social networks have won the next decade. Brand and business is built in social. You could do other things. You've got tactics that work, I'm sure. Direct mail, outdoor, networking. You know what to do. It's tried and true. To get value out of me being here today, I need this to be the moment you finally said, fuck it, I'm gonna go try it again, or fuck it, I'm gonna try it for the first time, or fuck it, I'm gonna go 4x harder, because it's really this wild moment in time where all the attention's reshifting and the macro industry is going to decrease, which means the winners in this space are gonna win, and the winners, in my opinion, are gonna be the content producers, and you've gotta find your way. And it's tough because the platforms I'm telling you are video-based. You know, everybody loved Instagram because it was easy. I'm gonna take a photo, and it's gonna look real good after I filter the fuck out of myself. And then I'm gonna write a couple sentences, and it's gonna be super cool. That is not the current marketplace. I know you want it to be, because that's a fuckload easier than what you need to do now, but whether it's a podcast, a local show, one-offs, you're gonna need to figure out what your pillar content is so that you then can cut up and produce. You're also more than welcome if you love the game and you've got the time to produce for it, but I know it's not gonna be sustainable for most of you, which is why I'm pushing this pillar. And I put this out a long time ago, and a lot of people have built businesses in many different industries off of it, but I think if you Google, and maybe somebody here can confirm it right now, but if you put, Gary Vaynerchuk content model 84 pieces, I put that out a long time ago. It's obviously the macros, right? Some of the details obviously change, but it'll give you a sense of what I'm talking about of make a macro thing, post-produce. Again, so many people here raise their hand following me. It's all I do. It's very obvious to you. You see what I do. I bring up stuff from 9 years ago and then clip me talking about something about you just have to put yourself in a position to actually do it. But I'm telling you, and I'll leave with this and we'll go into the chat, it's the answer to the quiz. You cannot leave Las Vegas and not produce a lot of content if you want to grow or sustain. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You're not my children. I actually give no fucks. I would just prefer you win because it's nice, and I like getting the emails 4 years later, 3 years later. It's nice. I'd like you to win. This is the one thing you can control the most. I know it's around self-esteem and self-awareness of how to produce the macro thing. Written word, audio, video, figure it out, but figure it out. Thank you.